Alright guys, so we're here at Oblivion Games. We just actually got finished with a Xbox/case tournament, right? I'm here with Bobby Kenny actually, and you actually just ended up winning the entire thing.
Yeah, I just won the whole thing.
With a deck that I've never seen be played before, and that's...
It's Deskbots.
Say that again?
Deskbots.
Why Deskbots out of all things?
Alright, pretty much, I'm usually known for playing like off-the-wall things. I try and come up with something that can compete with the rest of the format, but like it's something that other people aren't familiar enough with to take full advantage of. Like okay, my mentality is if I'm playing one of the big meta decks, someone that's had someone that's even or a better player than me, but like will have a slight edge in those mirror matches a lot of the time. Like obviously there's some where it just comes down to the draws, but like I don't like playing mirror matches because it makes it so that people that put more time into it usually will have a slight upper hand, and it also means that people have more side deck things prepared for it.
Okay.
Like if you play something that's off the wall, it just like some random rogue deck, it's harder for your opponent to answer it.
Okay.
And like taking something like this to like a YCS or whatever is a bit riskier, but for smaller events they often like I just won this. So.
Well, bro, you just won an Xbox, dude, so I mean, like, congrats.
Oh, and I want to shout out to Pasquale Crociata over at TCG Player. Like most of this build was from him. Okay. Like I'd say it's like 4 or 5 cards different, and most of those were because I couldn't get the cards that his build had. But yeah, he's been testing the deck a lot more than I have, and yeah, he just. The deck's really good. Okay. So yeah, shout out to him.
What was your rounds? You know, round by round, what were your losses?
All right. Well, it was 6 rounds for the Swiss. Round 1, I was up against Perform Agent Pals. I ended up beting that. It was a close game. Went into time. I actually almost lost to a Utopia because I couldn't. Like he was playing Utopia for Utopia Prime, and I actually. I had to jump through a ton of hoops to out the Utopia so I could actually attack. Like this deck actually cares a lot about resolving attacks. So round 2 was Cosmo. Game 1, all I saw was Trap Tricks, and it was Trap Tricks Mermelia and a bunch of traps. So I thought it was like, and then he complained about an Ashuria Beast. So I thought he was playing Perform Pals or Perform Mages rather. Like I sided wrong, but luckily I didn't draw into any of it, so I was able to get game 2. Round 3, I was up against Cosmos. Game 1, I just got blown out by Raigeki. Reasoning into a Dark Destroyer in Italy. I was like, okay, good game.
GG, yeah.
Game 2, I won. Game 3 was really close. We both were down to top decking. I feel like I pushed into a maxi I probably didn't need to, so I feel like I lost because of that. Round 4 was another Perform Mage deck. It was a 2-0. I drew double Wavering Eyes in game 2, so that just wins games sometimes.
Yeah.
That card's like too stupid. And then round 5 was against Magispectors. That was actually the matchup I was most afraid of, but he played super passively. He only ever had 1 monster out at a time. He didn't go for he didn't go for an all-in pendulum play. So and whenever they do that, it's relatively easy to just out the monster and then do all your plays in main phase 2. Round 6 was against Cosmos again. That was my other loss. Round 1, I got blown up by a skill drain. And I thought I had the game completely under control. He flipped a skill drain when I went to attack, and it's just like I can't do anything about this. In game 2, he hit me with Deck Devastation Virus twice, which yeah, he was like, yeah, he told me that the skill drain and the Deck Devies were just for Magispectors, but they hit me. So, but yeah, then top cut I won out through played against another Performage deck, a Cosmo deck, another Performage deck, and then Infernoids in the finals.
Oh, awesome. Well, congrats on the win. Let's see this list. No, everybody's dying to see it.
Alright, yeah, so for the Despots, I play 1 Despot 1. A lot of people play 2. You never want to draw this. So, pretty much he buffs himself by 500 for every machine you control, including himself. And like that can be relevant because he gets really big. But more importantly, when you special summon 2 or more machines, you can bring him back from your graveyard, which since this is, you can't do it in the damage step, so it doesn't work with one of the other cards, but you can do it whenever you pendulum summon, and the newest 2 deck spots are both pendulums. Okay. So you do your big pendulum summon, and you get a free tuner, level 1 tuner out of it from your graveyard.
Okay, awesome.
I played 3 Despot 2. This card, it's like, I've been really on the fence about playing different numbers of this, but I found that 3, you do want to play 3. When it's special summoned, you add a Despot card from your deck to your hand. Cool thing is it says card, so if we get any spells or traps in the future, you can search those too. But, And yeah, it buffs all your other dudes. Like a lot of your early plays, if you end up getting slow plays, you just bring out 2 and just try and search into your other combo pieces. And he's also cool because since he doesn't buff himself, you can machine duplicate him, and then you get 2 more searches. Machine duplication is the main reason to play 3.
Okay.
If you're playing a build that that wants to play a even more controlling game and not play the explosive plays of machine dupe, you can cut this down to 1 or 2.
Okay.
Then 3 Deskbot 3. The second best Deskbot. When it's summoned, or when it's normal summon, you summon a Deskbot from your deck, and it can buff, and during either player's turn, it can buff a Deskbot by 500 for every Deskbot card you control. Okay. Which, the way this deck plays, often you'll have like 4 or 5 Deskbot cards, so its effect is adding like 2,000, 2,500 damage. One time I had 3 of them out, and 2 scales and 2 other Deskbots, and then it was 3,500 boost each. It's just like ridiculous. Yeah, it counts all Deskbot cards.
That's insane.
And then the best Deskbot at the start of the show is Deskbot 4. Alright, the reason it's the best is whenever it battles a monster, during damage calculation, which is cool because that means like your opponent can't like honest in response after it resolves or anything like that, you dump any Deskbot except 4 from your deck to the graveyard, and it gets buffed by that monster's level times 500, attack and defense. So usually you send 5 and 6 to boost it up to like 3,000, 3,500. It makes it so you, like, this sending Deskbot 6 runs over Dark Destroyer.
Okay. So they have an easy out today.
Yeah, okay. Like literally, this is the most important monster in the deck. Yeah, but that's not the only thing. When it kills a monster in battle, you get to summon 2 Deskbots from your hand or graveyard that have different levels. And that's where things get ridiculous. Because you can send like Deskbot 5 to the graveyard to buff it over, and then summon back like Deskbot 5 and Deskbot 2. Deskbot 5, which, yeah, might as well get to it now. Deskbot 5, he's your high scale, when he's summoned, you destroy a spell or trap. So with the 4 summoning 5 and 2, you get to blow up a spell or trap, and you get to search another Deskbot card. And you killed their monster. So it's +5 in card economy. Like, they lost their monsters, that's 1. And then the 2 monsters is 2 more, and then pop a card and search a card. So it's like a 5-card shifting card presence. And Deskbot 5 is also cool because if he's in your Pendulum Zone, and he gets destroyed, you can summon a Deskbot from your graveyard.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, so sometimes you do plays just to blow it up. Like, I've had times where I put this in the scale, summon 3, had 3 summon 5, 5 pop the 5 in the scale, and then the 5 would bring back 1, and that's 9 stars for Trishula.
I saw that
off of just a normal summon.
I saw that.
Yeah, and then the other scale is Deskbot 6, not nearly as good. The level 6 is not nearly as relevant as the level 5 in most cases, but being 6 stars is useful, and the 3,000 boost on 4 is nice.
And being the 1 scale as well.
Yeah, and being the 1 scale. Like, that's really important that you get a complete pendulum scale. But he says that when he's summoned, you change the battle position of a monster, and when he's destroyed in the pendulum zone, you add a Deskbot card from your graveyard to your hand. Okay. So it's not nearly as good as 5, but actually there's a cool combo you can do with, if you have a 4 already in your graveyard, and you have just 4 on the field, you swing, you dump the 6. And then you have 6, then this triggers and brings back 6 and 4. It has to summon in defense mode, but then 6 shifts this to attack mode, and you get to swing again, dump another card, and then bring out 2 more monsters. So your 1 attack ends on 5 monsters.
Well, damn.
And then, like, depending on what you bring out, you make whatever synchros or exceeds you want.
Okay.
So yeah, that's it for the Deskbots. There's 2 more coming out in the next set. I don't know what my ratios are going to be on that, though. For the other monsters, I play 3 Gyrgi Augur.
Why this?
Alright, pretty much, as I was saying, the most important card in the deck is Deskbot 4. And by proxy, like, Deskbot 3 to get to Deskbot 4. The Gyrgi Augur, when it's normal summoned, lets you add a level 4 Earth Machine from your deck to your hand, so it can add, it just adds the Deskbot 4 straight to your hand. But because of all the restrictions, it's worth it to also play 1 Gyrgi Accelerator. So most of the time, like, if you go first, especially if you go first, and you have this, because, like, your deck revolves so much around attacking, you can just normal, search, special, make Gyrgigan, and then search either Deskbot 3 or Deskbot 4. And then if the Gyrgigan lives, you get to get another search next turn, and by that point, like, it's really hard to lose at that point. Okay. So yeah, like, sometimes I side one of these out. The card's really bad late game, but early game, it just makes sure all your plays go off. Okay. And then I played 3 other tuners. I played Birdman. Birdman pretty much opens up a lot of your other big plays. It lets you, because it's level 3, it lets you do a lot more synchro plays that you couldn't have done with just the level 1. And a lot of, it's also good, like, if you Deskbot 4 and bring back one of your pendulum scales, you can bounce that to your hand to set it into a pendulum summon, and other things like that. And, like, if you machine dupe, and then you can bounce one of the things you machine dupe back to your hand to use it the next turn. and it just opens up all the synchro plays. Ghost Ogre, really strong hand trap right now. I feel like if it's not slowing your deck down too much, it's worth playing. And I also played E-Telly in the deck, so that is just another way to get to a level 3 tuner to do big synchro plays. That's it for the monsters. I believe it's 23 monsters.
Okay.
For spells, I played 3 Forbidden Lance.
Why Lance?
Pretty much, you want to make sure that no matter what your opponent has, your Deskbot 4 is attacking. Because you swing the Deskbot 4, they Storming Mirror Force, they Mirror Force, or like if they try and like Torrential on the summon or something, and you Lance, and you're like, okay, well this can now swing in. Like it's especially relevant against the attack stops. Like Storming Mirror Force is the only attack stop people are really playing right now. Like you swing, they're Storming, you're like, okay, well I'm gonna Lance this. It shrinks to 0, but I don't care. I'm about to buff it by 3,000, so your guy's still dead. I still get 2 summons. And yeah, you just want to make. It's also good against like Breakthrough Skill and stuff. Though I didn't see too much of that. I saw Fiendish Chain in like 2 of the matchups in Breakthrough Skill in 1, but there isn't too much effect hate going around. So, and then 3 Machine Dupe. Pretty much target your 500 attack machine, which they all are, and summon 2 more copies from your deck. It opens up all kinds of plays. Where alright, like there's some OTKs that are simple as 3 plus this. Like if you go 3 into 2 and play this, get 2 more 2s, you get 3 searches. And then if your opponent has a clear board, after all of the buffs are accounted for, it's exactly 8,000.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, you can also do a similar thing where you 3 into 1, and then bring out 2 more 3s. And then if you set a scale, then your stuff is, you have 5 cards on the board, so any one of your attacks will be, like it's really irrelevant against Performage, because you have to damage juggler before damage step. So if you swing for 500 and they're like, okay, and you're like, okay, so damage step, 3 Deskbot 3 effects, I have 5 cards, so pump by 25 3 times. So my 500 attack is now 8,000, you're dead. And if they do damage juggler, you're like, okay, you don't take 500, alright, swing for 500 again. And if they don't have 4 damage jugglers, they die. So yeah.
Crazy.
But yeah, there's other plays too where you can like Machine Dupe Deskbot 5, take out 2 more back row, make Durandal, stuff like that. Like it just does so many plays. I played 2 E-Telly. I was debating playing 3 E-Telly and 3 Ghost Ogre, but like I might try that in the future. Like it's decent. But this isn't like a mandatory card. It's just kind of a nice bonus play. Like some of the big openings, if you have the teleport, can end on like ridiculous fields. Like I don't want to go like full in depth on it, but if you go 3 into 2, Machine Dupe the 2, and then E-Telly, you can go into, you have a board that ends on Naturia Beast and Artifact Durandal and their own Despot Jet, the theme synchro. Yeah, so it opens up some big plays. And then, yeah, there's Raigeki. Even though I want to be killing monsters in by battle, Raigeki's Raigeki. It's too strong not to play. I played 1 Storm. The build that Pasquale was working with, he was playing Galaxy Cyclone here, which I would like to play, but I don't have it. I had 1 spot left and was going to go to either Wavering Eyes or Storm. I opted for Storm because I figured it's better against the non-Pendulum decks. And yeah, I actually had a game against Magispectors where I stormed for 4 of his back row. I set my 2 scales, I had 2 sets, and then I stormed, and he tributed off his only monster to use one of the traps that he had set, and then I flipped one of my sets, which was Lance, to protect my monster anyway, and then he lost all of his back row. Yeah, and then I got to trigger my Despot 5 and 6 effects because they were blown up. To summon 1 from grave and add 1 from grave to hand.
That's broken.
And then I played 1 Instant Fusion. This was another last minute addition. I literally added it just because I wanted a 1-card Black Rose. Like without Exiton, I wanted, which is something that I can usually summon easily with the deck. With Exiton banned, I wanted the Instant Fusion. So I can Instant Fusion at Norton, either bring back a 4 and make a Castel or something, or Dweller, or bring back Ghost Ogre and make Black Rose. Okay. I literally never drew the card, so I don't know if it's actually worth it or not, but that was the reasoning for playing it. Traps, I played 2 Time Space Trap Hole. This card is freaking amazing in almost every matchup right now. Like, a lot of people like to wait against like Performages, they'll wait for the Exceed. My philosophy with it is, alright, the monster that you just summoned, is it good in your graveyard? Yes, I'm flipping this anyway. Like at one point earlier today, I took 4,000 damage to stop a Pendulum summon because he summoned a freaking 1,000 Blades with it. And it's just like, I don't want that 1,000 Blades in your graveyard ever, so instead of waiting for you to overlay and stopping whichever Exceed actually matters, I'm just going to send it all back now. And then I also played 1 Grand Horn of Heaven.
How did this work for you today?
Well, it just I almost wish I was siding another one. This card's also really, really good. Like, not nearly as good as Time Space Travel, and it's dead against Cosmo, which is the reason I only played one. But it's really strong all around, because just, like, it's less for the card advantage and more for the tempo, because it's like, well, your opponent draws a card, so if they're, like, overlaying 2 things or pendulum summoning 2 things, they break even, but just ending their main phase immediately, like, it actually forces people to, like, do their Xyz plays and stuff in main phase 1 instead of attacking with all their other guys and then overlaying to disrupt plays in main 2, because if they do that and you Grand Horn, then that's just their turn. So yeah, I think I might side another one. I wouldn't main more than one just because Cosmo it doesn't really do anything against, but... And then I played Bottomless. This is another card that's just good against everything, less painful than Time Space Trap Hole, more flexible. It was worth playing. And then Warning went from being like that card that you only played if you really, really hated Exciton to being like staple, just with the whole pendulum mechanic. Like there's always something really important that if you hit with a Warning, it'll probably win you the game. And then Emptiness is the last trap. Like not much to explain there. So yeah, that's the main deck.
40 main deck?
40 main deck.
Okay, what about the side and extra?
Alright, well side was literally super rushed. I didn't, like, I wanted, if I had more practice with the deck before today, like, in a tournament environment especially, I probably would have changed it up a bit, but it was really simple. 3 Mystical Space Typhoon. These came in against almost everything at 1 or 2, and then some decks I brought in all 3, because it's useful to just, like, every deck will have, like, that emptiness or that, like, one set, and you'll just have that position where you want them. And being able to use it to blow up your 5 and bring back something from your graveyard is nice. So yeah, I might actually move one of these to the main deck at some point. I don't know. 3 Wavering Eyes. Pretty much any Pendulum matchup, at least 2 of these came in. Like if I was going first, usually 3 came in. If I was going second, 2 came in. And yeah, it's a blowout against Pendulum decks. Like you have to play it a little bit carefully, but the fact that you have good pendulums to search, and sometimes you can just do like what Perform Mages do, set your 2 scales and play it. Like you set your 2 scales, play it, blow up your 5 and your 6, search out like another 5, and then bring back a monster and get a monster back to your hand, and that just puts you back in the game.
Okay.
Yeah. 3 Royal Decree.
Because why not?
Yeah, again, it's just, I want to make sure my plays go through. If I'm up against a heavy back row deck, these are coming in. This is another card that even in some of the matchups where it's like, well, they play a few back row, I'd bring in like 1. And then 2 Iron Wall. I might bump this to 3 after those losses to Cosmo, but this deck, like, in concept has an amazing Cosmo matchup because I just get over everything. But yeah, I was only playing the 2. I'd probably bump that up to 3.
Okay.
3 Mask of Restricts. Magispectre is literally the matchup I am most terrified of, because a lot of the time, if you don't have a pendulum scale, you can only really do 1 play a turn, and you have to make sure that play goes through. Like if you summon Deskbot 3 and they Tempest it, or if you summon Deskbot 4 and they Cyclone it, or Tempest it when you swing and you dump your card, or go to dump your card, like it's really hard to push through that. And like if they get more than 1 monster on the field, it's almost impossible to push through multiple back row a turn. So yeah, that's why I was playing these. And then last card was the 3rd Ghost Ogre.
3rd Ghost Ogre. Okay.
Now this came in against any Pendulum matchup. I brought it in against Infernoids in the finals because it's just like if they bring out Divinity and go to nuke the board, I want to blow it up. Actually, in one of our games, he had the Divinity and I baited its negation, and then I used this to blow it up, and he lost both his monsters, and he was stuck just drawing and passing for a few turns. Unfortunately, since he didn't have any monsters, I couldn't capitalize with Deskbot 4. But yeah, it's just a good card.
So yeah, what about your extra deck?
Extra, alright, so pretty much because of Deskbot 1, you can synchro into a ton of different things, and then your bigger synchros are fueled by the East LA Ghost Ogre Birdman. So at 4, I have Herald of Arclight. Pretty much 3 summons 1, you make this. Like, it's pretty simple. And you can punch for, between the 2 effects, the Deskbot 1 can get as big as 25. So you punch for 3,000 damage and then you make this. Like, this was actually back in the OCG when Manju and Senju got hit to 1 each. The Deskbot, that same engine, 3 and 1 to summon this, was actually a really big thing over there. At 5, I have Natria Beast. Pretty much any deck that deals with spell cards, pendulums, whatever, dropping this can often mean game. If you can drop this with a trap or another monster to protect it, like then against some pendulum decks, like that just wins the game outright. And it's this one's actually really easy to make because it's just 4 and 1. So if you have 4, dump 1, and then bring it back.
And bam.
Yeah. 6, I have Barkion. Similar thing as Beast, not nearly as amazing because traps aren't as relevant, but if your opponent has a bunch of background and you have an opportunity to synchro into this, you usually do. The other 6 I played was Metaphyssaurus. Pretty much 1 + 5 makes this, and like if you synchro with an effect non-tuner, you get to target any card on the field and negate it. Like I do that a lot against like Cosmotown and stuff to make it so that it's like, okay, you have that Cosmotown that's just chilling there, and it's not gonna, you can't get any advantage off of it anymore. And it's also useful for like annoying floodgate monsters. And then if you synchro with a pendulum monster, your opponent has to give control of one of their monsters to you. But it's their choice. But I did that a couple times today. The most relevant was in top 8. I was against Cosmo. I cleared his board except for a Dogfighter, and then I synchroed into this and made him give me his Dogfighter and negated the. Actually, I don't think he had Cosmotown up at the point, but yeah, he gave me his Dogfighter, and then that was about it because I was just getting too many tokens.
That's fine.
At 7, I play Black Rose. Pretty much your panic button. Yeah, like if your opponent has too much stuff and you can summon this, you do, especially if you can follow it up immediately. And yeah, again, like the instant fusion was mainly to make this. And then I also played Clearwing Synchro Dragon.
This card's broken.
Yeah, this card's amazing. It's not nearly as good as it was last format with Necros and Shadalls everywhere, but it's still good. And if you can get a board of these two, yeah, there's not much you can do against that. Because then, like, your opponent's, like, if you're up against Performage and, like, okay, well, I'm going to try and make, like, a 101 or something like that, and you're just like, okay, I'll negate it. Like, it forces them to go into an out that requires them to attack or whatever, and then they're usually, like, that's usually, like, either Ragnazero, which is subpar, like, you can play around Ragnazero usually. It just is a matter of not putting Deskbot 2 on the board. And otherwise it'd be like Dark Rebellion. If they use Dark Rebellion's effect, you stop it. So this can be annoying for some decks. And then yeah, this might change to a Moonlight Dragon because it didn't come. Clearwing actually didn't come up that much, but it's either going to be this or Moonlight. You just want another level 7 option. 8, I have Scrap Dragon. This might become a Scarlight, the new Red Dragon Archfiend. With Scrap Dragon, just popping your scale, blowing up an opponent's card, and then getting your scales effects is really useful. I think I made this once all day. It doesn't come up very often. Like 8 is a hard level to synchro into. And then at 9, Trishula. Not much to say about Trishula other than
Played this all day.
Yeah, I summoned this so many times. It's probably the synchro I summoned the most. It's really easy to summon it. Like 4, bringing back a 4 into 1 will do it. Or if you have 3, summon 5 and 1. Like, okay, like you can do 3 into 5, pop a back row, machine dupe the 5, pop 2 more back row, and bring back your 1 from your graveyard because the 2 5s are summoned at once. And then you're like, okay, I'm going to make Durandal, and then I'm going to synchro into Trishula. And that just wins the game a lot of the time. Oh yeah, and then the last one is Despot Jet. It's a level 10. It's actually, like, it's easier to make than you'd think, especially with the E-Telly and the Birdman. E-Telly and Birdman, this is the biggest reason for E-Telly and Birdman, is to be able to make this more easily. It starts at 500, but it gets 500 more for every Deskbot card on the field. And once per turn, you can pop one of your Deskbots to either pop an opponent or pop any face-up card on the field, or summon a Deskbot from your deck. Usually, it's Deskbot Jet will pop Deskbot 5 in the Pendulum Zone to summon a Deskbot 2 from your deck and get a search, and then bring back another Deskbot from your graveyard. And then yeah, it's off of the 5's effects. Yeah, it's really strong. And a lot of your big plays deal with this. Like that combo I was telling you with the E-Telly Machine Dupe 3, you end up going 3 into 2, Machine Dupe the 2, E-Telly, and synchro 2 2s, the 3, and the Ghost Ogre into this. And then you blow up your scale to get out 1 from the deck and bring back 2 from your graveyard. Synchro the 2 2s and the 1 into Natria Beast, and then you set your scales again, Pendulum Summon 2 Despot 5s and make Durandal. And that's off of 3 cards.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I did that twice today. It's pretty strong.
They immediately scoop.
Yeah, well, one of them tried to play out of it, but yeah, it was like, it was pretty much just like, he was just like, yeah, I don't know how to deal with that. Yeah, I played the 1 Norden for the Instant Fusion. If I cut the Instant Fusion, obviously this will go. Not sure exactly what will go in its place. Either a rank 3 like Engineer. I was actually thinking Engineer plus Beast is really strong, so I might put Engineer in here. Yeah, or like the Moonlight or something. 4s, I played Castell, just staple, whatever. Rhapsody. I'm not sure if this is actually worth playing in here over something else. Like, I only made it once. It was against Performage, and it was to banish a Juggler and I banished a Juggler and a, what's it called? 1,000 Blades. So I was like, that's the only time I made it. It was good when I made it, but I only made it once, so I might cut it for something else. Dweller. Actually, I never summoned Dweller today, which is really surprising. This is something that I would expect to be going into a lot. It's too strong not to play, so even though I didn't summon it all, I probably wouldn't cut it. Like, if you have this on Raigeki, that wins a lot of matchups. Of course. And then 1 Geargiganex. Like, this is...
With your Augur and your Accelerator.
Yeah, the Augur Accelerator. I actually considered putting in a second one at one point. Actually, yeah, that originally, before I put the Instant Fusion in, I had a second Geargiganex in that spot. And then I cut that for the Norden. And then the last spot in the extra deck is Artifact Durandal.
Obviously the Durandal, yeah.
Yeah, like, it's just pretty much, you get your big board, you make this next to it, and it essentially says, negate 1 effect. Because you change it into blow up one of your spells or traps. And a lot of the time when you're making this, it means you don't have real traps, you just have your pendulum scales. And it's like, alright, so do you want to blow up my 5 and let me special summon? Or do you want to blow up my 6 and let me add something to my hand? And, oh yeah, you don't get your Raigeki. So yeah, that was the deck. Definitely, like, I definitely want to keep working on it. It's, like, really fun, really combo heavy, and it's surprisingly hard to deal with. So
that's crazy. Well,
yeah.
Congratulations again for, beating everybody here and coming in first place, winning the Xbox with games. If you guys see there, you got all these games and everything, and we'll definitely see you again on the channel very soon as well. But yeah, this has pretty much been TheCardGuyz. Thank you very much, Bobby, for the deck profile, and you have a good day.